So this is really the exceptional panel that we are going to have now. So far in all the panels, we had a mixture of national and international experiences. This time, we have 4 of the best-known CEOs of Bangladesh in this panel, and I'd like to briefly introduce them, so that I don't forget anything. It's written. So we have with us Zaved Akhtar bhai. Zaved Akhtar bhai is the CEO and Managing Director of Unilever Bangladesh. And who is, his career spanning more than 20 years in Unilever. So he's a Unilever veteran, and he's among us. Then we have Yasir Azman bhai. Yasir Azman bhai is a proven track record as a leader in transformation, change management, and business development. He is the Chief Executive Officer of Grameenphone in Bangladesh right now. Yasir Azman bhai, and then we have Mahbub bhai. Mahbub bhai joined HSBC in 2002, and he is now the CEO of the bank of HSBC Bangladesh. And we also have online Farzanah Appa. Farzanah Appa, has she joined? So Farzanah Appa is a chartered insurer and is the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of Green Delta Insurance Company. So I would like to welcome the panelists in today's panel discussion, please. So let us just begin this with an introductory note, if you may. So as we have heard that, and we are hearing this from the morning, that COVID pandemic has a deep impact on our society, in every sector of our society, every aspect of our social life. And that, and then Bangladesh has been amazingly resilient, if you may, in dealing with this pandemic, the impact of the pandemic. In many ways, we are I would say we are an exceptional country in dealing with this pandemic. And one way this happened, this resilience that we have shown, is through collaboration. Just before this session, we were discussing, Azman bhai was saying how BRAC and Grameenphone, during this pandemic, quickly collaborated to launch a fantastic Dakche Amar Desh program, just over discussing over telephone. But now, today's discussion, we would like to seek the perspective of the panelists that we have among us, from where they, from their unique vantage point, how they have seen that pandemic impacted the society, and how their businesses were impacted. So, unlike in most other panel where we could not give a lot of time for the question and answer, let's hope today this session will have a lot of scope for you to participate. So I would urge you to ask your question during this session, so that we can have a good interactive portion of this session at the end. So I'll start with this question. Maybe I'll start with Azman bhai. From your vantage point, because technology is, of course, one of the major driver that helped us to cope with this pandemic. But from your vantage point, how your business and how do you see the society was impacted by this pandemic?
I think first thing first, for us it was itself a big hit, right? As a telco operation, we are significantly dependent on the physical world to serve our huge, large customer base in most areas. And then, it's like the technology is as such that we are not provisioned like serve customer base. All of a sudden if it becomes in a different dynamics of the market. Likewise, we are probably dimensioned to serve here 200 or 300 people in this room. But all of a sudden, if it becomes 4,000, we will not able to do that. It is not like that. Network is not dimensioned like that. So for us, the first thing first, we got a huge, hit on our face, almost I would say, that how to manage this, because people have mobilized so differently. So when we actually dimension probably significant level of strength in Motijil, but that entire area has gone vacant, whereas in the daytime, in residential area become high demand for data, right? So how do you manage that sort of situation overnight? And I remember that we had 44,000 fine-tuning by human interaction to make sure that we are able to serve our customers. That gives us in other perspective that how much it has impacted on our customers' life, which means in our society that they had to change their daily life that they do, right? And then, it's like it's at both sides of it. It's like that now it's impacting the society, that is impacting on our business. So for us, during this, it's like to make it very simple. One is like, if we were not able to serve, then it's innovation by other industry for their survival is in question, because everything were through the connectivity at that point of time. So for us, it was important at that point of time to make sure that we are able to serve our customers. So it's a very basic thing, but it was difficult. The other big learning, it's like entire society, it's like was very vulnerable at this point of time. And if society doesn't sustain, then business is out of question. So this is a big, dilemma and balancing factor. And that is where what you just highlighted, that we collaborated with each other. That was the start point, that you need to make your society sustain. You need to make, it's like with whom you do the business, if they are not there, how do you do the business? And there is coming out of all the constraint of having budgets, having resources or not. It was just that we had to do something together and find out a way to do something together. Budgets will follow. So I'll stop here. We'll come back more details probably in the dialogue.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let me come to Mahbub. Because banking is, from morning we're hearing that banking is really the big river that, flourish many canals in the society. Many systems depends on bank. So from your vantage point, how do you see this pandemic impacted your client, and common people of Bangladesh, and how it has impacted you, your business, if you may?
Thanks. I'm in the middle of two of my customers actually, and why not the BRAC as well. So the moderator and the two speakers in my right and left, they all happen to be my customer. So of course, I'm going to echo what they mentioned. So you can imagine that it is not only about our customers, but our business is a function of our also customers' customers. As Yasir mentioned, that they also had to take care of some of the demand dynamics that they have come across. If I take a little bit of a step back, I would put that into the context of our business continuity plan. And this was a classic moment, of course unprecedented, but this was also a classic moment for us to validate that how our business continuity plan, our business contingency plan actually is working. And not to just defend and not to just highlight how our operation and franchise has reacted to this pandemic, but I think this is one of the aspects, broadly speaking, that I would like to see our operating environment and all the corporate citizens in this country should look at a bit more robustly, because pandemic definitely has given us a chance to reflect and also chance to validate that how agile your and everybody's business continuity plan is working and what is not. So I think the risk management perspective is something that I would like to see, not for only our operations, but also how our customers' day-to-day life is getting impacted. So from that perspective, we also wanted to keep our operations up and running in line with our customers' demand in the first place. Secondly, we also wanted to understand our employees, our staff members' well-being, because unless they are well taken care of, how could they be able to serve our customers? So that is the two perspective that we wanted to reflect, and to the best of our ability, I think we have been very able, and our customers can speak for that's not even just now that they know how our technology actually has been up and running to take care of that. The third point that I will say that how is the operating environment, especially the policy environment, is supporting that one, because that itself creates some of the environment where we were not used to. So how do we validate a signature? How do we validate an immunity coming from an fax instructions, or the email instructions? So there are a lot of new learnings that we had, and again, I would say the business continuity plan, well-being of your staff members, how do you enable that to happen, especially when they're working from home? So we took quite a few measures. I don't go into the details, but those are very important for our human capital to be up and running to serve our customers.
Thank you. So in both cases, we see that we really need to, even your businesses caught off guard during this pandemic, and you need to do a lot of tweaking. 14,000, you said, you were saying you need to reinvent your human resource processes and policies so that to keep it going. So let me come to Farzanah Appa. Farzanah Appa, because primarily COVID-19 was a health pandemic, and Green Delta also deal with a lot of these because they're directly impacted because you have a lot of health insurance from your insurance company. But you also have other engagement with the entire business ecosystem. So from your vantage point, how do you see your customers and your business were impacted during the COVID pandemic?
Thank you. Once again, I would like to thank BRAC and Morshed everyone for having me online, and with this, all the colleagues of all the customers and all the business leaders here in front of me. Like other foreign banks or the private banks or the multinationals or the telcos, insurance industry is actually, it's kind of, following the outdated system. I mean, most of the insurance company, they don't have the proper online system or online computer or computerized system as well. They do things manually. So for us, for our industry, it was a kind of a massive hit. I mean, the lessons that we have learned actually always, try to be ready for the unexpected. Our business, of course, impacted. The overall industry, it was like a 500 crore taka loss. 150 crore in life and 350 crore in non-life. So in terms of like business, like marine cargo, like fire and other insurance, there was a kind of a lot of premium that we have lost because no one did do any business during pandemic. But health insurance, I would say that it created an awareness during the pandemic. People were kind of trying to understand that actually things are different and it's a new normal environment that, it's a very unfavorable situations are there. Like there was no COVID coverage, and even we could not get COVID coverage from our reinsurers abroad because they had no data and everything. So we had to kind of create our own coverage. And so this is kind of a disruption that we have done, because what we have understood is embracing the SDGs, it's like multi-stakeholder approach and inclusiveness. And I mean, bringing everyone into one platform, and not only the welfare of the employees, it's actually the internal and external customers, like the other speakers have mentioned. we have to stand by each other, and then that actually, it's like a situation leading towards serendipity. There are few processes that we have pivoted in our company in terms of digitization, because other companies, few companies have taken time to adopt that. And it's actually with the cost consciousness. That is actually one thing that kind of created awareness among the customers and also the insurers as well, that we need to have a sustainable business approach, business models, and that actually has to come from the cost consciousness as well. Employee well-being, I've mentioned that that was one of our strategy, and helping people like a CSR. I mean, all the companies who are sitting here, I mean, all the managing directors, I mean, they have mentioned, and we have also helped people connect, I mean, jointly, join hands with like MFS to reach out to our farmers to actually give them financial help from our end, from our one-day salary. And not only that, other like university students, and we do health insurance for the marginal segment through the health ministry. We are the scheme operator of the Shastra Kormoshuchi, and we actually gave them PPT. So there are certain few initiatives we have taken for our customers and for our employees, and it's actually like surviving together in terms of we through digitization we try to kind of ensure that all the other, sorry about that, there's no kind of delay in paying the claims, and also a renewal process of all our policies in terms of starting from the marginal segment to the retail and corporate clients, and understanding each other. And there are other initiatives that we have taken into the digital side. It's like created a platform for our employees, and we have done a song called Amra Korbo Joy, and we involved all our employees, that during the pandemic we can work together, and it's like showing them empathy. That is one thing that you need to embrace, and need to kind of show people that you care. So, and I would also like to mention that not only our insurance, but through our subsidiaries, we actually kind of work together with their, like one of our healthcare management company, where we pivoted. We stopped sending patients abroad, so we pivoted in business avenues. Like it's actually not a business. We started delivering medicines locally and from getting from the international, other countries. And also, one of our patients died in Bangkok, and it was like 3 weeks, and he couldn't come. And the body would, we couldn't. There was no process that government wouldn't allow. And then we tried to kind of work it out between the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and then civil aviation, and that is how, we instead of, in addition to the dead body, we kind of started getting information that there are standard Bangladeshi passengers abroad. So we worked out with, partnered with US Bangla, and started bringing, standard Bangladeshi passengers in other countries like Bangkok, then Malaysia, and then, after that, Ministry of Foreign Affairs gave us 2 assignments that we can send, to send US Bangladeshi citizens who are stranded in Bangladesh. So it's kind of that has led to kind of help, led us to like chartered in flights, where we actually helped Bangladeshi passengers who are stranded in Bangladesh and other countries, in like 6 countries and 3 continents. So more than 1,000 Bangladeshi passengers. This is actually, it's actually created a platform where gave us a kind of a more experience in the aviation side as well. and then also delivering medicine, creating a platform for employee engagement and medical, medical telecommunications consultations, and
I'll
also
come to you,
another
Appa,
is
on the
wellness. Wellness,
yeah.
mental wellness is one of the area that we have focused, and through our insurance side, we have trained many of our customers, employees as well, on the the mental wellness side. So
Th-
there are many initiatives that we have taken in those areas.
Thank you, Appa. I'll come back to you on specific strategies, if you may. So maybe before that, Javed, if we, because you're doing really the FMCG businesses from the very the richest category to down to the rural areas. So how this pandemic affected your customers, and thereby how that flows back to your organization? So if you into that cycle, if you
Yeah. So I think it was obviously pretty unprecedented for everyone when the pandemic hit, and how we did business didn't actually matter at that time. So you had to pivot in a completely different set of priorities. And the first thing was actually demand. Because what happened, if you remember those days, people were all indoors. So sales of, let's say, moisturizer or shampoos plummeted. But let's say a hand sanitizer and hand washing actually went through the roof. So you had to really reinvent how you're going to supply that market. The second one was your supply line. Because what happened is your supply line all collapsed. So the second thing has to do is that you need to really reinvent the supply line. And we didn't know which stores were open, which stores were shut, which route should we go. In fact, we had almost 100,000 outlets connected. So they were actually sending a signal because that they had demand there. So we had to service them properly that way. The third thing is, in order to service, you need to take care of your people. And this is, I'm not talking about people directly us, but it is which is what we call the inner core, but also the outer core, which is roughly another 20,000 people across our supply line. So we need to really pivot to making sure that those people actually had the right kind of support system to really drive it up. And in order to make sure you pivot for your demand, supply, and people, you need to make sure you conserve cash. The most important element when a business goes through a lot of this shock is making sure that you have cash to really support. And the fifth one was community, because you also had a responsibility, and that's when we approached BRAC to say that, listen, can we actually start collaborating and working in terms of hand washing and how we can do, and that's when the HBCC program started. So essentially what has happened is your priorities completely went upside down. We focused on these 5 ones, and we said, this is how we're going to make sure we serve the country and the nation.
Thank you. Thank you. And this is really, everyone is also basically saying that the business need to do a lot of things differently. And also a lot of this happened because you need to serve the people, and people are facing a difficult situation, so you have to change your, so is there, if there is one strategy that you have adopted to better serve your customer, better serve the needs of your customer during this period, what that strategy was? Maybe Azman, if you start.
I think, it's like, I remember those days. We are very short-lived now. It's like we forget about like what happened back in 2020 March. But I still remember that I stood and I talked to my employees that we will have very simple strategy so that everyone understands and able to execute. It's like no big funder. So it's like you will all get surprised. It's nothing but make sure our employees are well and they're able to serve our customers. Because we were probably 1,700 employees, but 84 million customers are actually, connected if we are able to serve. So what we did, we were the company probably the day one we sent all employees to home. I remember it was national news that the Grameenphone work from home. And then later on it became like a new normal. But we found out our employees are not having probably the right chair to work 8 hours. They are used to 20 years in GP house, right? So we started, sending our office chairs to our employees' home. So we have actually sent 1,700 chairs to employees' homes so that they are taken care well, they can serve our customers. So this is very simple, but go deep to execute that. take care of them because they need to serve. Second strategy is like equal, that, take care of the society. If I just take an example of our collaboration with BRAC, if we do this sort of collaboration now, it will take 6 months or year to talk about terms and conditions, contract, because both the companies are well established on their own areas, and they will do their own compliance and everything to do, right? We did within a week, or probably even less. I and Asif Bhai never talked before probably COVID over phone. We get to know each other during the COVID over online, and we said we would do that. And our CXOs were working overnight to fix it, to make sure that we are able to do that. So this was not only one example. I saw that Tasnim Zara was there. Early days, I saw she is popping up in the Facebook. I texted her that I need you into our platform also, that it spreads. And we did that overnight. We didn't go and check that who is she, whether the content is there or not. It was making sense. I remember that, it's like health ministry were struggling to have a right competency to fix their call center, because there were a huge number of calls. So they needed to manage the calls through IVR solution. And they reached out to me. By the time I reached out to my employee, who is an expert, he's already there. And I was asking him, how do you get to know? He said that somehow it came to me. And you remember, we promised that we will be with the society. So I didn't ask for your permission. I reached out to health ministry. I think those were the days standing on those burning platform, the way we came together each other. It's like having those simple strategy of we take care of our employees, we take care of our societies, and really meaning it into the deep and pass it to all across the employees, and they take care of it. You cannot make sure sitting up the top to make sure everything happening, because people are not around you. As long as you are able to pass that message right in a simple way, then it gets executed well, right? So I think these are the very simple, but those worked for us at that point of time.
So if I understand you right, you are basically saying when the partnership happened based on a mission,
Yeah.
and when there is this urgency there is understanding between two partners, things move very fast, and that's one strategy that worked. You agreed to the mission, and then everything followed.
I think thing is that we need to be beside the society. Whoever needs help at this point of time, if I have an expertise or if I have a financial strength, do support. Because this is the question of how resilient we are in the society, how sustainable we are, and then other things will follow, right? So if you have that attitude, you will come out of all those budget constraint, resource constraint, and everything. You will jump together.
Right.
And it has happened not only one institution, it has happened in multiple institutions. And today I wonder why it's not happening. So we need to come back, we need to find out that burning platform, that it's not only pandemic, the burning platform yet is still there in the society, in the world. And we need to go together, to really build that resilience.
Thank you. Now, Mahbub, you have both your customer and I included all three in the panel. So have you done anything special to make sure that your customers who reaches out to the grassroots are actually serving them? So what strategy have you taken to make sure that your customers well served and they also serve the greater populace of the country?
I mean, there are two aspects of this one. I mean, one is, of course, to keep our operations up and running. And we live if I see the title, The Frugal Innovation, and I think one of the things that I want to share with everyone, that we live in a world which has got finite resource. I mean, that is true for the world, that is true for the organization itself. So when we deal with finite resource, I think the thing that comes top, the tone from the top and others, that, we may not get 100% of what we want, but we need to use 100% of what we have. I think that's the thing that I personally was driving, and I would say that because I've just taken over in 20 as CEO of the organization. And of course, that when you navigate within a finite resource, you have to be preemptive, you have to be understanding that what are the resources that you have and how are you utilizing the best of it. So that was the very primary objective that I wanted to drive for the organizations. And for that to happen, communication is very key because you cannot have a situations discussed amongst the top team. That will create the tone from the top, but it is important for us to communicate more, and then over communication has never been a problem. So that was one. The second thing is that the adaptability, because you see the business continuity plan that I would reiterate, because unless you have it, unless you practice it, you will always find yourself in a situation that what to do, everybody sort of like looks at each other. That's the situation you want to avoid. So the adaptability and agility will actually be a function of your preparedness when you don't face it. So this was something that for our organization, it was very helpful. And we realized that, even if like last 10 years we didn't have to, but our drill, our discipline, and some of the practice actually has enabled, and also some of the reserve resources, especially the technology, has really helped. The other one I would say is being more preemptive when it comes to your customer's requirement, so that you preempt and you react with your preemptive understanding that, how do you channel your resources towards the second part of your question, because I decomposed this in two parts, that, how did we collaborate? Because we always considered ourselves as a good corporate citizen, and where we cannot be successful without having to contribute to the society and others. So we can put up a whole list of these things, and I'm not going to go there. But one of the things that we realized that the fast response was very important, and that was possible through our joy of giving. That's one of the things that we wanted to do with many different partners, including but not limited to BRAC. One example that I would say that in terms of the agility, one of our customers was importing oxygen from Jharkhand, India, and that oxygen consignment is such that your exact quantity of the oxygen would be determined when you fill up the bogie of that wagon. Unless you have that precise information, you will not be able to produce a document which was required for clearance of that consignments. And that came on a Eid holiday. What you do? We kept our office up and running. We came to the office. We did all the formalities, and that consignment was released. So I say that it's not only the oxygen, because oxygen you don't smell and you don't have any weight and other stuff, but that's a hell lot of a goodwill that we realized that we have come forward with collaboration of the customers, with the customs, with many other different agencies. Everybody came forward. So I have very pleasant experience dealing with this kind of situation.
Thank you, Mahbub. So, Farzanah, to you, how have you, or what was the one strategy that you have taken to make sure that Green Delta and your medical services actually helped reduce the disruption caused by COVID-19?
Thank you. I guess I have answered these questions in earlier discussion. But the main thing, one strategy was to help each other. Together we grow. This was the thing that we care for each other. This is something that without a person's being in good health, that person cannot produce anything, any results. So without the employees or the internal and the internal customers, you cannot give proper services to your customers. And it's also same thing to keep our customers with us, to make them, to ensure them that we are with you, we are here to support you. So we have dealt with many issues regarding their extension of the policy, their claim payment. We had to kind of travel to their factories and some, or to see how we can help each other and how the other reinsurers can help, in the extension of their policies. So there are many ways that we have worked, but another thing is like Mahbub mentioned the agility and the adaptability. This is something that pandemic has really kind of taught us, forced people to be, to go through the digital transformation. I would just like to kind of highlight a few things that also encouraged us. One of our subsidiary is a training institute, PABL, and jointly we did a report on COVID impact on the insurance, non-life insurance industry. And few interesting, with K.A.M. Pandit is one of the global actuarial firm and consulting firms. And, 47% of the companies really now understand that, they think that digital transformation is important. 95% of the company we all go through, we have had a significant negative impact. Yeah. Premium earning in most of the companies reduced 5 to 10%. 48% companies extended emotional and professional support, creating more intimate employee-employer relationships. And also, 95% companies have agreed that innovative and pocket-sized customers' product are actually required, for sustainability. So this pandemic actually taught us that how to be in a sustainable position and to grow further, you need to actually, partner with organizations who are adding values. And I have seen that, BRAC and other, HSBC and Unilever, you have joined hands and working together. And I think it's a great platform where instead of working in silos, if we, join hands together and build an ecosystem where we have our own competencies, like in insurance, we can give, all the insurance for health and property and casualty and other areas, and also the COVID coverage and other innovative products like, cyber insurance also we are working on that.
Yeah.
So
this is, I think, coming up. Thank you. I'm just also conscious of time. This is really what you're saying, that working together. I think this came out very clearly also from the two other interventions that we've heard. I'm coming to Javed Bhai, and it's quickly, is there one strategy you think that worked best to help the people cope with?
I think one of the things from FMCG is because FMCG is designed with the leanest supply chain. And what had to pivot is actually lean doesn't work anymore. You need to be resilient. And you need to create a resilient supply chain where you're able to really make sure that you are able to respond to the need of your customers. And that can only happen when you're able to collaborate, which means you're able to really collaborate with our partners who made sure that we are able to really have the raw materials on time. We're able to collaborate with your customers where you're able to have goods closer to the demand space. Because that's how it all happens. Because unless, and I think that's the point that Farzanah was saying, whether it's in business, whether it's in the community, I think the power when you collaborate multiplies. And then I think the future is when you're able to collectively work together in different avenues, that's when you get the best.
Great. Thank you. So all four are talking about, of course, Mahbub talked about having the right risk mitigation strategy or business continuity plan, but also all four of you are basically saying this is also, you need to collaborate based on a burning platform or a mission to build resilience, to deliver quickly, because this pandemic might be over or be over soon, but other big challenges like climate change is coming. So this is not the end of crisis. So we'll go to Slido questions to see what questions we have for the panelists. But then first, let me ask my question. 1 minute, and then whoever wants to take this up. How do you think this learning of collaboration that we have learned during this COVID can help us, or how should we take it forward in dealing with crises such as urban poverty, climate change, the big ticket items that the development as a whole are facing in any way. So I know any one of you can take this question. In the meantime, if you can pose the Slido questions here. So I don't know if
Okay,
yeah.
my personal belief is that the role of the business is actually making sure you have a positive impact in the society, the community that you operate in. And this just doesn't happen in isolation. So you really need to make sure you have a collective approach in terms of solving them. That's how I look at business.
So yeah.
No, I would just say that, to celebrate the success stories, it's important for people to know that what has really worked well.
I've seen a couple of things, those could never possible by Grameenphone or my own leadership only if we are in silo. We talk about a lot, probably a couple of times I talked about it with BRAC, but that was the only example. There are so many different with ICT ministry, different places. We did wonder in terms of, identifying the people who really need support at that point of time through data analytics. And it was not possible if we are not collaborative because it needs all the operators' data. It's alone, it doesn't work. And that mindset is needed, right? So this sectoral collaboration, the biggest one what we did during this pandemic, we call Future Nation. We build a program which is upskilling 1 million youth in Bangladesh, which is Grameenphone, UNDP, government, a couple of other donor agencies are working on that. Even Microsoft recently joined. So it became a big platform with a small thinking that, we need to make our society sustainable. We need to do something for our youth. And then today we see it's a dream project. So I would say that how do you have that urge to continue? Where is that leadership to bring us all together and make that platform to really crack those societal issues in this complex environment we are into today? If it were possible at that point of time, someone has made that call, gathered that together, and we responded. And why not is possible for tomorrow? And that requires a leadership role coming up and bringing us all together to really create impact. We need to find out that.
Absolutely. Thank you. We have few questions. The first one to Javed Bhai. What is your suggestion for SME who are struggling in this challenging situation? Yeah, if you could quickly.
Honestly, SME or non-SME doesn't matter. I think fundamentally one of the big thing that any of us need to do is staying close to your consumer and customer, because if you're able to understand the problem that they are suffering and how we're addressing. And the second one is conserve your energy and conserve your cash, because you'll need it. Because the moment you're able to conserve your energy, and in many cases we don't, you won't be able to survive. So those are my two suggestions.
Thank you. So any other reflection? Farzanah, is there a last, would you like to make a last intervention?
Also, we need to engage youth. I forgot to mention that, like in the innovation social lab that you have, that always, youth have, brilliant ideas, brilliant business ideas, and how to it's like a end-to-end process through digitization. So I think ICT Ministry have taken a lot of initiatives in that. So bringing in youth in the platform, that will help because they are the future leaders. So to sustain in this kind of situation, taking the lessons learned from the experienced people, learn from our mistakes, because there are a lot of ifs and buts and a lot of things that we have actually tried out, but many things worked well and few didn't work out. So learning from our mistakes, and also to learn the best practices from others, and then adding those best practices into one strong ecosystem, and then that can really help the companies to grow, and also to have governance. This is something very important. Mahbub also mentioned about risk management. And now everyone is working on ESG platform right now. So I think embracing these will also help in transforming CSR into socio-commercial viable projects and inclusion of the marginal segments and the society into the platform. That will actually generate revenue in the long run. And of course, will improve the livelihood as well, and bringing revenues to the corporates and other business and the SMEs as well.
Thank you, Abba. So I think of course, we would love to have more time and answer more questions, but I think our time is up. So I'd like to thank the panel. Farzanah Appa, thank you for joining from Malaysia.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we really appreciate your time. Yasir bhai, Mahbub bhai, Zaved bhai, it has been wonderful. And I think these discussion need to continue, as you say that, we need to find the next burning platform. So let's take climate change the next burning platform and see how we can continue this collaboration and do this 6 months work into 3 days of conversation. I think that's would be one of the learning from COVID that will be helping the society to be more resilient in a shorter period of time. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you too. Thank you.